Good morning. Welcome to Storytime with Jason. I'm Jason, and happy Juneteenth. We're going to be reading two historical documents today. One is I got from battlefield.org. It's General Order Number 3. That is at the heart of Juneteenth. And the other is a proclamation from the White House in 2001, having Juneteenth become an official federal holiday. And my standard disclaimer for reading any sort of historical document is I read these at full and in their entirety, without color commentary or anything like that, and leave it to the listener to draw their own conclusions and own judgments. A little bit of the background about General Order Number 3. It was issued by Union General Gordon Granger on June 19, 1865 in Galveston, Texas. The Civil War ended in the summer of 1865, and General Granger and his troops traveled to Galveston to announce General Order Number 3 on June 19th. June 19th would go down to be known and celebrated as Juneteenth. Dateline June 19th, 1865, Galveston, Texas. General Order Number 3, quote, "The people are informed that in accordance with the proclamation from the Executive Office of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection heretofore existing between them become that between employer and hired labor. The freed are advised to remain at their present homes and work for wages. They are informed that they will not be allowed to collect at military posts, and that they will not be supported in idleness either there or elsewhere." Then fast forward quite a while to June 18, 2021. Quote, "A proclamation on Juneteenth Day of Observance, 2021. On June 19, 1865, nearly 9 decades after our nation's founding, and more than 2 years after President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, enslaved Americans in Galveston, Texas finally received word that they were free from bondage. All those who were formerly enslaved were recognized for the first time as citizens. Black Americans came to commemorate Juneteenth with celebrations across the country, building new lives and new traditions that we honor today. In its celebration of freedom, Juneteenth is a day that should be recognized by all Americans, and that is why I am proud to have consecrated Juneteenth as our newest national holiday. Juneteenth is a day of profound weight and power, a day in which we remember the moral stain and terrible toll of slavery on our country, what I have long called Americans' original sin, a long legacy of systemic racism, inequality, and inhumanity. But it is a day that also reminds us of our incredible capacity to heal, hope, and emerge from our darkest moments with purpose and resolve. As I said on the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre, great nations don't ignore the most painful chapters in their past. Great nations confront them. We come to terms with them. On Juneteenth, we recommit ourselves to the work of equity, equality, and justice. And we celebrate the centuries of struggle, courage, and hope that have brought us to the time of progress and possibility. That work has been led through our history by abolitionists and educators, civil rights advocates and lawyers, courageous activists and trade unionists, public officials, and everyday Americans who have helped make real the ideals of our founding documents for all. There is more work to do as we emerge from the long, dark winter of COVID-19 pandemic. For example, racial equity remains at the heart of our efforts to vaccinate our nation and beat the virus. We must recognize that Black Americans, among other people of color, have shouldered a disproportionate burden of loss, while also carrying us through, disproportionately, an essential as essential workers and health care providers on the front lines of the crisis. Psalm 30 proclaims that weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. Juneteenth marks both the long, hard night of slavery and discrimination and the promise of a brighter morning to come. My administration is committed to building an economy and a nation that brings everyone along and finally delivers our nation's founding promise to Black Americans. Together, we, we will lay the roots of real and lasting justice so that we can become the extraordinary country that was promised to all Americans. Juneteenth not only commemorates the past, but calls us to action today. Now, therefore, I, Joseph R. Biden Jr., President of the United States of America, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim June 19, 2021, as Juneteenth Day of Observance. I call upon people of the United States to acknowledge and celebrate the end of the Civil War and the emancipation of Black Americans, and commit together to eradicate systemic racism that still undermines our founding ideals and collective prosperity. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 18th day of June in the year of our Lord 2021, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 245th. Signed, Joseph R. Biden Jr. Unquote. Thank you very much for listening. Happy Juneteenth.